What is the fundamental difference between selective mutism and extreme shyness, and how can parents or teachers recognize when a child has crossed from one to the other?
Wow, this is a big meat and potato question, isn't it? So I would say that although the majority of individuals with selective mutism have a more timid, shy temperament, although for those that know of my work and have children or teens or even adults who aren't that shy, it kind of can be confusing. Like, why are they not shy if they're, they don't seem shy, but yet they're not speaking? I would say the fundamental difference between being diagnosed with selective mutism and also shyness or having a timid temperament is the amount of functionality that an individual has. They're functioning. Those that are shy can function, perhaps. Whether how much they function varies from individual to individual, whether they have a social anxiety presentation, because shyness, being timid, is a factor into social anxiety, right? So that is an anxiety disorder. So functionality really is the key question there. Many individuals that are shy can speak. It doesn't mean they're elaborative, initiative. It doesn't mean that they're expressive in their language. It doesn't mean that they will go up to others and ask questions. Perhaps they have the social anxiety or extreme shyness. But the primary difference is communication. Individuals with selective mutism are consistently, in at least one setting, mute. They are not speaking in at least one setting, such as at school, with peers and or teachers, or out and about in the real world, in stores and restaurants if someone questions them, during play dates perhaps, or get-togethers. Perhaps at family functions, people ask questions and they don't speak. Even with some warm-up, many don't speak. So we think of functioning in 4 ways. Social functioning. Social functioning can affect social anxiety and shyness, extreme shyness, where it is an anxiety disorder. Emotional functioning, anxiety, affecting your ability to function emotionally in a setting. Anxiety leading to depression, not being able to get up and go and reach your full potential. Your emotional functioning really causes dysfunction, I guess you could say. I'm kind of social, emotional, academic. Many individuals with SM may struggle academically because of the extreme anxiety in their ability to communicate. So those with social anxiety may also be affected academically, not reaching their potential, perhaps having difficulty starting, completing tasks, sharing their thoughts and ideas. Communication, mutism versus shyness, is really about not speaking consistently in at least one setting. So where teachers and parents need to be aware is how much dysfunction is their lack of communication causing across the realms of social, emotional, academic, and communication. And communication is the biggest difference between shyness and selective mutism because of the mutism.
So if you have one of those 4, which is the most common that you see? And if you have one of the 4, is that even possible, or is it usually all 4?
Actually, it's interesting you asked that question. I look at it as pillars, right? Like almost bar graphs. And what I do when I talk to families and we're making decisions on whether a child should go from preschool to kindergarten or kindergarten to first grade, or, how do we base this? Whether they do need maybe additional therapy, obviously therapy to help them become a more functioning being, to develop coping skills, decisions on whether to use or not use medication. We will talk about what the therapy, because obviously most will benefit obviously from therapy, parent education, child therapy, teacher education. That's critical because kids just don't walk in with a guidebook. So the most important is being able to see how much dysfunction is an individual struggling with. I have individuals that struggle emotionally. They can't leave the house, school refusal. Their anxiety is preventing them from seeing or getting together with friends. They shut down. They hide in a car going to visit a relative. They shut down when someone asks them a question out and about in a store or a restaurant. a relative tries to engage them and the child just hides behind their parent or shuts down, goes up to their room. They're not functioning, right? Even perhaps with some warm up. And so we see that like emotional dysfunction. The social function the same way. They're just not wanting to get together with individuals. They're avoidant. They shut down. They don't make eye contact. Their head is down. They're not projecting confidence. They're projecting kind of avoidance, and others see that. So their social functioning. Eventually, some of these individuals don't even want to get together with others. They will say, no, I don't want to. I don't like this person. I don't like being around these kids. And they'll make excuses. So their social functioning, which is so important for your emotional well-being to have a social interaction, right? So we will measure that on like a bar graph academically. I have very bright students or students that function from Ys of SM or dysfunction, that are struggling academically, starting, completing tests, needing redirection, prompting, not reaching their potential, below grade level, or at grade level, but perhaps they have a very high IQ and they're gifted, but in school they can't function. So we see this and we have to determine, is there another Y, a learning challenge perhaps, or is it extreme, avoidance from anxiety, and what is the cause of anxiety? Now, one of the challenges with SM is figuring out those whys. And the reason I'm bringing it up with this shyness is, yes, the majority of individuals will present with timidity, having a social anxiety presentation, but their communication is so impaired that it causes them dysfunction beyond shyness. So do you see what I mean? Now, I have many individuals with SM that are not shy, Brandon. So that typical dictionary case of a shy child, timid, with their hand over their mouth, doesn't always play a role. And so then why are these individuals selectively mute? They aren't speaking consistently in at least one setting for at least a month, so it's causing them difficulty, obviously, in that setting. And then you need to look at those other whys that we talk so much about. So if your child is not timid or socially anxious, and they are selectively mute, where they're mute in at least one setting consistently for at least a month, and it's impacting their ability to engage and communicate, you need to think about, why is that occurring? And unfortunately, many will think, oh, these kids are just being defiant. If I went out on a limb, Brandon, and said that I've never met a defiant child that is mute from defiance, I see mutism as a defiance becomes almost like a defense mechanism when they can't do something. So if you see a defiant child, why are they being defiant? It's not causing their SM. SM doesn't cause anything. It's a result of. I want to repeat that. SM is a result of. SM is a social communication anxiety that has factors into the development and maintenance of the mutism. And there are baseline stages that an individual functions at. And once we understand those whys, we understand those stages and all of the settings they engage in, then we're able to begin to think about progression of communication and building coping skills and training parents and training teachers. It's critical to understand that if you approach a child, all children with SM, from a shyness standpoint and an extreme shyness standpoint, you are missing a large percentage of children with selective mutism or teens with SM. And often when kids are older or adults that we work with, it's those other reasons that stop them from communicating. Perhaps it's severe social anxiety, but there are other reasons as well. And we really need to dive into that.